that you would not your name to be taken, you can also send a private message and that will be addressed. Thanks again for joining in. I'll give it to you, Dr. Aneja.
Thank you so much, Jasmine. And thank you one and all to have joined the session. Do we wait for some more participants to come in, or we can start with the program?
I believe in the interest of time for everyone, we can go ahead and start the program, and I can keep admitting people as they join.
That's so great. That's great. For the activity purpose, I would require all of you to have your video on. Will that be possible for you to have your video on? So in case if anybody has a challenge, maybe in the chat box, you can say that I wouldn't be comfortable, but because for the activity, we will need you to be present. Great, great. So welcome once again for the program. I hope some of you have done your questionnaire, the one which I had sent a couple of days ago to Jasmine to be circulated to the participants. So if I could get an answer in the chat box, if you have done it as yes or no, whatever is your answer. Oh, that's great. I'm so glad. Excellent. Wonderful. Great. Okay. So I'll start with this session and then we move on to the activity. The whole session has been divided into small 4 parts. Initial will be the introduction part, and then we'll have an activity followed by the discussion about the activity, and then we will discuss your scores and then the takeaway part. So I'm just, please allow me to share my screen with all of you. And yeah, okay. So say few decades ago, intelligence quotient was something that was really valued very high in the professional circle. So anybody who had a higher IQ was assumed to be, you know, good at work, good at everything. So even while taking, you know, people for job, they were preferred because of their intelligence quotient. But with time, it was realized, and even studies done by Harvard suggest so, that people with average IQ but with higher EQ outperformed people with higher IQ. So there came the understanding that EQ has a very important role to play in all of our lives. And since then, I think time and again, we are getting to talk a lot about intelligence quotient and, emotional intelligence and emotional quotient, because all our adjustment with self and with people around us greatly depends on our, emotional intelligence. So just 1 second. Are you able to see the slides?
Yes.
And is it moving? Like,
yes.
I've changed this. Oh, that's great. Yeah. So emotional intelligence is something like your capacity to recognize your own feelings and those of others with whom we interact on daily basis, and also to manage our emotions and also relationship with others. All through our day, we are interacting with people, be it at home or at our professional setup. And it's very important to understand how do we feel in that situation. Also at times when the emotions are up and low, how do we really regulate them? And also you must have seen that our emotions have impact on others as well. For example, when we are angry or we are unhappy, others are able to see it, observe it, and they react to the similar, emotions. Especially on the personal front, I think we affect a lot with people with whom we are living or we are, working. So I want to start an activity with all of you. If all of you could sit in a comfortable, posture, lean back in your chair, because this activity is going to take a good 5 to 10 minutes. So you need to be comfortable in your chair. So I am going to stop sharing the screen for a minute, and then I want to see you all, if it is possible for you to have your videos on. If you're not comfortable, then it's perfectly all right. But if you could have it on, that would be really, really great. Wonderful. So all of you, please sit down in your chair comfortably. And what I want you to do is to close your eyes and take a deep breath. So you'll have to follow my instructions. And in case if there's any, challenge, you can message me in the chat box and I would, manage accordingly. But rest of you, kindly close your eyes, take a deep breath, hold as long as you can and release. Take another deep breath, hold as long as you can and then release. Now, recollect any friend or relative who was very close to you once upon a time, and you have literally stopped interacting with that person because of some good, solid reason. I repeat, recollect any friend or relative who was very close to you once upon a time, and you have literally stopped interacting with that person because of some good, solid reason. So I give you 30 seconds time to identify the person about whom you want to think. In case you're not able to remember anyone, just recollect any recent incidents when you were very angry with somebody. Now, with your eyes closed, try to visualize the last time you met that person. Try to recollect the whole incidents. The last time that you met that person, which actually led to an argument or discord between two of you. With the eyes of your mind, recollect the whole incidents. Try to see where you were at that moment. Where were you sitting or standing? Where was the other person? Try to recollect the finer details of the incidents. Now, try to recollect the emotions that you experienced at that moment. Experience the emotions that you experienced at that time. Let those emotions pass through your body from head to toe. Try to label the emotion. In case if it were too many emotions, you can identify and label each emotion that you can recollect. It could be a mix of emotions, but try to give exact label, name. Try to rate the emotions on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being the highest in intensity and 1 being the lowest. Try to give a color to your emotion or emotions in case if they're multiple. Just be with these emotions for a while and focus on the finer details of the incidents. Keep your eyes closed. I'm moving to the second part of the activity. Since it's been time and you're out of that situation, I'm sure some of the afterthought may have occurred by now. Some emotions may have changed also. Suppose you had a chance to correct yourself and change your emotion. What emotion would you prefer? Suppose you had a chance to correct the intensity of the emotion. What intensity would you like to keep it at? Suppose you had a chance to change the color of your emotion. What color would you like to give it? Given a chance, what name would you like to give to your emotion now? You can change the color, you can change the intensity, you can change the label. Once you are done with it, you can open your eyes. So I would request some of you to share your experience. Anyone? Anyone? Samida?
So I'll
Okay.
just go ahead and say,
Yeah.
I think I saw my colors change from red to yellow.
Oh, that's great. What else?
Mine were like red to black out of that frustration and anger. But then it turned to blue,
Okay.
a little more relaxed.
What was the feeling?
Feeling, it was more like a thought that maybe that day when thinking about that incident, I should have kept a little calm, little more patient, and a little more let go of thing. Because now I think it's like it would have been better if I just let it go.
But usually when we are in the heat of moment, we don't get to control ourselves. Yeah.
Reach there.
Yeah, true, true. Could you all label your emotion?
Yes.
Can you share the labels that you could identify?
Emotion of anger emotion, and then when we are looking back later, we want to make it as a peaceful emotion. If we could have just digest it and may not be responding at that moment,
Mhm.
then situation might have been lighter,
Mhm.
I think.
See, just by doing an activity for say 2-3 minutes, the realization is that I could have dealt it in a different way. Now, had we been doing this on regular basis with us, how good it could have been. So usually when incidences happen in our life, we don't sit and think about them in an objective manner. As a result, we normally carry that baggage with us and we never get to see what I could have done to change the situation. Whereas to change the situation, the power is completely in your hand. And especially the feelings that you go through, the emotions that you carry, and then the baggage that you have, that really needs to be done away with. But that will only happen once we are actually sitting with ourselves and exploring this part of ourselves. Usually, emotions we do not think much about. We don't try to correct. So we did a small activity just to have an understanding of what emotions did I really experience. Many of you may have identified emotions that probably you never thought that the one you were carrying with you. How many of you could really regulate it or change the intensity? Could anybody change the intensity of the emotion?
Dr. Arnisha, I have a thought. I went through a kind of a thought process. I was thinking about this person that we were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
and my emotions actually did not change. So it was neutral at that point as well, and it was neutral today as well.
Okay.
But
So
we realized that yes, I could be neutral in such situations.
So even knowing that I was neutral and that was good for me, and being neutral now also is perfectly all right, that's a good awareness. That's a good insight. But those of us who are carrying any negative emotion within us for a long time, that is leading to unnecessary stress and the relationship gets stirs. So we got to let go, as one of you was saying, that it's good to let go and not carry the baggage, and there's no need to actually think so negative. So that is something regular mental cleansing we need to do on daily basis with ourselves. But how many of you, how many of us really sit and work on that? So we are moving to the third activity, that is part 2 of the activity. Okay, somebody has said, I felt lighter to have overcome it. Great. We need to respond instead of reacting. Agreed. Yes, I think that's a very important realization. Most of the reactions can be corrected if you decide to give yourself a couple of seconds and think and respond, and you can actually deal with them very, very effectively. And some of you have written, same for me, I could not change my emotions. Then maybe it requires some deep down working. That may not be very superficial, it could be deep and it could be intense. So that requires little working. But on daily basis, if we look into our emotions just as a observer, even that will give you a lot of insight in what I'm going through. Should I really go through this? Should I really carry that baggage? That's the learning that we need to do. So again, I'm moving to the
Dr. Arnisha, I just wanted to ask or mention one thing. It is like everyone's personality, how they react to the situation or to stress. Somebody can get into anger, somebody can isolate themselves, go into their shell. So it is, we know our emotions. It is very difficult to manage them until and unless we practice it regularly. Isn't that true? So even we know it. Right now I'm thinking I am peaceful, but then let that situation arise again. I don't know I can be peaceful or not. So I think that it requires a lot of practice.
Sure.
Is that
See,
true?
every learning has 4 stages. Stage 1 is unconscious incompetence. I don't know. So maybe
Okay.
till now we never sat and talked about emotions. So I didn't know that I experienced those emotions, or they were that intense, or they were really harming me. So that is stage 1, level 1 of learning. Second stage is conscious incompetence. When we have a discussion like this, when we are talking about emotions, when we are talking about experiences, we are getting to realize, oh, I have these emotions. Oh, I felt like this. Oh, this was the intensity. Or maybe these emotions are very hard embedded and they are not easy to let go. So that is second stage, that is conscious incompetence. Oh, I didn't know. Yes, now I'm aware that I don't know how to manage my emotions, or I'm carrying a baggage of emotion. The third stage is conscious competence. Once we are having a discussion around it, and you will start practicing it on daily basis. Sit with yourself, reflect on a situation. And when you look at the situation, we don't look at the situation from the idea of blaming the other person. Okay, he did this, so this happened. We have to look at the situation from completely a different perspective. What did I do? What I could have done, which could have changed the outcome? How differently could have I handled it? How differently I could have managed it or responded to it? So that's, you're bringing these solutions to your conscious mind. So not that once you have this in your conscious mind, next day your behavior will be changed or your reaction will be changed. It's very difficult because old habits die hard. But once you have the repository of these solutions or these way outs to deal with the situation, slowly when you will start being conscious of it, a time will come when you will be in the middle of the situation and you will have your rational mind telling you, this is not going to work, change your way of handling it. And that will be the turning point of our life. It's very difficult to change our behavior because unless you work on it. So conscious competence is very hard because you have to put in a lot of efforts. But once you become mindful of your behavior, once you're observing your behavior on regular basis, there comes stage 4, that is unconscious incompetence. Then you become aware of how to handle your emotions, how to express emotions, what is the right way of handling situations. So emotional intelligence is all about handling emotions. See, we all have two brains, rational brain and emotional brain. Rational brain looks after every day's activity. So most of the things that we do all through our day, they're wonderful. We don't even have to think about them. But incidentally, we have a small amygdala, that's emotional brain, which is very small in size, but very powerful. And incidentally, this brain sees everything in two colors, pain and pleasure. When things are okay, enjoying, happy, it's silently observing and enjoying the life. But the moment there's anything called pain, uncomfortable thing, or discomfort, or dislike, or unhappiness, this brain gets activated. And the moment it gets activated, it actually literally hijacks our rational brain. So usually when we are angry or aggressive, we later on we get to realize, oh, that was not the right way of answering, that was not the right way of handling. But when we are in the heat of moment, you just do not know. That's because your emotional mind has completely hijacked your rational activity. So we got to train our rational mind and our emotional mind, and this is all about emotional intelligence. So we are moving on to the activity 3, which is the second half of the activity. You again have to sit back in your chair, relax, all of you. Take deep breath. You can close your eyes. You can even switch off your video in case if you think you're not comfortable me watching you. So you can switch off your videos, be comfortable. But I really want you to go into that, incidents or situation. Okay. Take a deep breath and release. Take another deep breath. Hold as long as you can and release. This time, recollect an incident when you used very hurtful words to your spouse, partner, friend, or anybody. It could be your friend, it could be a family member, it could be a partner, anybody. Recollect recollect a recent incidents when you used very hurtful words towards anybody, a friend or a partner or a roommate, batchmate, anybody. Recollect the complete incidents. Try to recollect the finer details of the incidents. With the eyes of your mind, visualize everything. The place where it happened, where were you at that moment? Were you sitting or standing? Where was that person? How near or far was that person? Try to recollect every finer detail. Now take your attention to the person you have hurt. Observe the person from head to toe. Look at the facial expressions of the person. Try to read the feelings of the person. Try to see things from his or her perspective. Try to feel what he must have felt. Try to think what that person must be thinking of himself or herself. Try to think what that person must be thinking of you. Spend some time looking at things from the other person's point of view. Please keep your eyes closed. I am moving to the part 4 of the activity. Given a chance, how would you like to change the incidents? You can't go in the past, but suppose that person is in front of you. What would you like to say to that person? How differently would you like to handle the situation? What different words would you like to use to express yourself? Could it be, I'm sorry, I hurt you? Could it be, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt you? Could it be, I take responsibility of my behavior and will work on myself to make things better? Could it be, can you pardon me for the same? Can we bridge the gap? Take a deep breath and open your eyes. And if it is okay, please switch on your videos. Okay. Would somebody like to share his or her experience?
I understood one thing, that it's even like it's harder in reality, and it's even harder to imagine saying sorry to someone. But I tried to say sorry in reality as well, and I did that. Uh, that's it. Even in thoughts, like it was so difficult to apologize for my mistake, and yeah, it's difficult.
But then when the relationship is very important, when the person is very important, and you are on the verge of losing the person just because of some strange incidents, how would you like to handle that?
I always accept my mistake, and I always say sorry. And I am the only one who goes and beg again, like talk to me. It's okay for me. I
See,
don't find any problem.
again, begging, as you said, in case if you are begging for no fault of yours, then again it's not a very good practice, because that's not going to make the relationship very, kind of equal or mutually benefiting. So that requires begging.
I most of the time I am at the fault. So yeah, I know it. And
Then I think it's okay. If you agree and accept that I was at fault, then you need to work on the fault rather than apologize. So, and anybody else who would like to share the experience?
Dr. Aneja, I have a question.
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Ambika?
Yeah, so for me, the first, yes, doctor. Yeah, for me, the two situations you asked made me think about different people. Like the second situation, it was with my spouse. So yes, that could have been mended. Like I could have responded to him in a different way.
Yeah.
But the first situation where you asked, think about a person where you are no longer talking to because of something that happened between you guys.
Mm-hmm.
So this fall apart has happened because the same kind of incident happened again and again. And when I responded in that last time, it was a repetitive insult from that same person, like about some 6 or 7 times. So going back to Ranu Bandari's question, so that's my mindset when I tried to rethink about it. The hurt was still there because when insults come for no reason of yours. So yeah, I might have not reacted, but then the hurt is still there when the same person does this to you. I feel it's valid to let them go. I mean, maybe not by reacting at that moment like I did, but I feel it's not healthy to have such a relationship going on.
Ambika, for any relationship to work, both the parties have to assert and draw a line. What is acceptable and what is not acceptable. There will be occasions that people will take you for granted and can go, misbehaving with you or abusing you or insulting you. So as insulting is not okay, taking the insult is also not okay. Don't let people walk over you. So you got to assert. Incidentally, assertion is one skill which is not really taught in a systematic manner. Whereas that's one skill. I'm going to talk about it in my presentation, but may not be able to go in depth because we just have 1 hour with us, and emotional intelligence is a very vast topic. But very quickly, to help Ambika and Ranu, when you say that you left that relationship or you let that relationship go because it was becoming abusive. So when a person abuses a relationship, the person being abused also has a responsibility to handle it in the right way. So assertion, as I'm saying, is the skill that would help you learn how to put your foot down and say, sorry, this is not acceptable to me. I mean, I've had cases where people have come for counseling to me, and professors, senior professors, I mean, in an abusive relationship where husband have been even raising hand. Just one counseling session helped that professor understand that I need to assert. And that worked for her. Not that she left her husband and went away. Rather, the relationship started improving, because unless you draw a line, the other person would keep stretching the line to his or her advantage. So we got to really learn to handle that. So very briefly, I've tried to answer your question. I hope that helps you. So anybody else who would like to share the experience that we have just done with the activity that we have done?
Dr. Arnija, I had a thought process. So
Sure.
usually we react to hurt by hurting back somebody.
Mhm.
So how do you emotionally, intelligently deal with that? And how do you, like you were mentioning about being assertive, how can you be assertive without being hurtful?
See, assertion has basically three major components. I'll quickly give you this tip because I really want you to go empowered with the idea what is assertion. Assertion is saying what you want to say without being aggressive. So every communication has three parts. One is language, second is your tone of voice, and third is your body language. So when you're asserting, you are firm, but your language is respectful and decent. We don't use any indecent or foul language. Your tone of voice is firm and not aggressive or abusive. Your body language is not aggressive. Again, it is communicating assertion, which says that I will not take nonsense, but your facial expression will not demonstrate any kind of threat or aggression, and nor you're pleading anybody. So your language has to be very respectful and polite. Your tone of voice has to be firm, and your facial expression should communicate firmness, looking into the eyes of the person in a very firm tone. If you say, I'm sorry, I'm not going to take this. It comes with a lot of practice. Assertion is not a very easy skill, but the day you will learn and start practicing in your personal and professional life, trust me, most of the things will fall in place. Because one, when you assert, you feel good about yourself that you did not do tit for tat. You did not use foul language, or you did not misbehave with the person. So automatically your position becomes stronger than the other person. One. Second is the other person also gets to realize that you are not giving the same misbehavior. So after one or two, conversations or interactions, the person gets to realize, oh, she's not giving me tit for tat. Oh, it's a different way of handling. So maybe I need to work on myself. It's little difficult, but trust me, it's very, very empowering skill. In your personal and professional relationship, it really works wonders. It is difficult to acquire and practice, but it's a wonderful skill. Any other question about it? I'm glad that you're asking a question. Yeah, Nitika, tell me please.
I just wanted to mention whatever Ambika has said, that even like maybe people will change, but our emotions, we will react the same way if another person will do the same thing again. Because you asked for something like to think about our spouses, partners, then we, and like as Ramu shared, then we want to put our all of energy, so we want extra effort to correct to make that relationship work. But it depends on how important the person is. If person is really important, we just work like entirely. But if person is not important, then we sometimes allow people to go. But it is our own emotions. We cannot think about other people. Isn't it like everything with interact? What I'm trying to say is when we interact with other person, it is our own emotions which we can only manage.
I think Nitika, you're to the point. Its own emotional well-being more than anybody else, whether that person stays with you or not, that is secondary.
Yeah.
Whether that relationship is important or not, that is secondary. Are you happy within yourself? Are you happy in
Because,
your skin? That's most important.
yeah,
And
because
all that
if
is,
that, sorry,
yeah.
because if that relationship is not important, I won't create hurt right now. That means, because even if I am thinking again, then is there
Even
any
if that
hurt?
relationship is not important, if I am creating negative thought process or negative feeling that is being generated within me, so it's already hurting me or harming me. I may not say it out. Maybe the person is in power position and I can't give that back. But if I've created that thought process or those feelings, they are going to be with me and they are harming me. So what I am asking you to do is to do correction at the root level, where you know how to create right emotions, so that you know how to handle the situations. Even if you're not, even that relationship is not important, but you will not let yourself be hurt. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'll quickly move to the presentation that I want to share with you. I've tried to make a very beautiful, concise presentation, and a lot of your questions are going to be answered, in that presentation. Okay, so we move here. So is this presentation visible to all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, doctor.
And if I move it, is it moving?
Yes.
Are you? Okay, great. Okay. So see, our interaction with the outer world and its outcome depends on majorly three things. One is your IQ, second is your EQ, and third is your personality. So when these three things interact, there comes the way to success. But incidentally, both IQ and personality, IQ of course is not something that you can change, that's your intelligence quotient. Personality again requires a lot of efforts to change. It's not easy to change your personality, but fortunately EQ can be improved and changed with little effort. So you get an edge over situation where you can actually use your EQ to improve your relationship with self and with others. So EQ has basically four composition or four quadrants, I can say. The first activity that you did, where you tried to read your own emotion, was to help you understand the importance of self-awareness. So self-awareness actually helps you improve your personal competence, where you are able to identify your emotions and see what you are going through. That also helps you to manage your emotions. The second part of the activity, where I asked you to regulate your emotions, change the color or change the emotion. So that was just to give you a feel of how do you really regulate your emotions. If we do this on a regular basis, you will be able to not only identify your emotions, but you will also be able to decide which emotion should actually be allowed to be surfaced in this situation. Besides improving your personal competence, emotional intelligence and emotional quotient help you improve your social competence, which is equally important, or rather more important. One, you get to know what others are feeling, or what is the impact of my behavior on others. So that is social awareness. So part 3 of the activity, where I made you think of an incident where you use some hurtful word for others. So that was just to help you see things from others' perspective. How do others feel, or how do others think about the situation? And then finally, the part 4, that is relationship management. That is, how do you really maneuver between your emotions and others' emotion, so that your relationship with people improve. Ultimately, our success in life greatly depends on the relationship that we enjoy, be it our personal level or at our professional level. It's not just about materialistic thing, but it is about the love, affection, care, respect, trust that you enjoy in the relationship. That is what I think we consider as the true, reward of our relationship or work. So this EQ actually contributes to various realms of our life. For example, in your intrapersonal realm, that is your self-awareness within yourself, it gives you the ability to recognize your own feelings and impact of your feelings on your behavior and others' behavior. So that's the first benefit of being working on your emotional intelligence. Then also you learn to assert, where you learn to clearly express your thoughts and feelings. For example, some of you just now said that where you felt that you were being insulted by others, that means you were not able to clearly express your thoughts and feelings in those situations. So more aware you will become of your emotions, more assertive you will become, because you will clearly know what you are feeling, and then you will also know how to take a stand and then how to defend your position. So assertiveness is all about, it's not being aggressive, it's not being adamant, it's not being rude, but it's actually taking a stand and then defending your position in the legitimate manner. Third is independence, where you become independent in terms of being self-directed and self-controlled. And at the same time, you are free of emotional dependency on others. I think this is the greatest independence I can think of. That's because usually we look for approval and validation to others. And a lot of time we tolerate things just because we want validation and approval of others. You completely become, free of that emotional dependency on others once you start working on your, emotional intelligence. Then of course, self-regard, which is being appreciative of your perceived positive aspect, and also accept your negative aspects. See, we all have plus, we always all have negatives, but we can't just, for example, if somebody is tall or short or dark or fair, somebody might think that, oh, it's my negative self, but we got to be happy in that skin. So we really need to have that self-regard that we call as self-respect, and everybody should enjoy self-regard and self-respect to be happy and cheerful life. And then the final one in the intrapersonal realm is self-actualization, where you are able to actually realize your potential. So more you will connect with yourself, more you will, think about your thoughts and feelings, you will get to identify your potentials, and you will actually be able to, manifest those things by meaningfully, following some meaningful, rich, and, fruitful, full of activities, where you actually learn how to, see what you have and how do you utilize your potential to lead a rich and full life. In the interpersonal realm, where it is actually to deal with people, it helps you acquire empathy, learn empathy. So especially when we are dealing with people, where people can feel oppressed by us or, misdealt by us, empathy helps us to see the world through their eyes. We are able to see what others must be feeling and thinking. So it's something like putting yourself in their shoe and, seeing things from their point of view. So empathy is a very important quality and virtue. It helps, make you more compassionate and caring for others. Besides that, we also learn social responsibility. More aware you will become about your interaction with people and how how your relationship can be improved. It helps you learn the importance of social responsibility by being a cooperative, contributive, and constructive member of the group wherever you are. It could be in your personal life or at your professional front. Then also, how do you handle those relationships where you actually create relationships and maintain those relationships, realizing how to, create mutually beneficial relationship where both the parties are benefited. It's marked by give and take and a sense of emotional closeness, where people feel closer to each other because of the bond and the trust they enjoy with each other. Third is the adaptability realm, where we learn to be more flexible and realistic to the situation. So the first one in the adaptability is reality test. More emotional intelligence you start practicing, more aware you become of the way to conduct reality tests by assessing to correspond between what is being experienced and what the objectivity exists. At times we have a different thought process which is not in touch with reality, but more you will observe yourself and others, you will actually be able to see things in a more objective manner, and you will not think in a wishful or unrealistic manner, but you will actually be in touch with the reality. At the same time, your flexibility would improve because you will be able to adjust your emotions, thoughts, and behavior to the changing situations and conditions. Especially in the VUCA world, where things are very, very volatile, very uncertain, very unpredictable, it's very important to be flexible. Actually, flexibility is considered a very important virtue in any professional front, and also in your personal relationship. I think flexibility gives you edge over others. So this component of emotional intelligence applies to your overall ability to adapt to unfamiliar, unpredictable, and dynamic circumstances. Next is problem solving, where you actually are able to not only identify and define the problems in an objective manner, but also will be able to generate and implement potentially effective solution. So automatically your problem solving capacity would improve. Another one is stress management. I think we all experience stress, but few of us are really able to cope with stress and actually improve our stress tolerance. If you work on your emotional intelligence, you will actually be able to withstand adverse events and stressful situations in far more comfortable way without falling apart, by actively and positively coping with stress, because you will have a repository of solutions or answers to deal with the situation. At the same time, it will help you control your impulse. For example, revisiting certain situations, when you get to see, you get into impulsive behavior and you have a tendency to speak foul language or use a wrong tone of voice. As I suggested, once you will start visiting those incidences, you will learn how to control those reactions. A time will come when you will actually be able to control yourself and resist or delay the impulse. So you will also become aware of the fact that you have aggressive impulses, and that will be like coming from unconscious incompetence to conscious incompetence. And then of course, in those situations, if you are able to be composed and you are able to control aggression, that would be the real victory of emotional intelligence that you will acquire. Of course, it also helps you improve your general mood by keeping you happy, satisfied, enjoying the life. You will actually be self-satisfied. Your general contentment will be higher. You'll be able to enjoy not only yourself and others and have fun with them. That's again because when your relationship starts improving, the happiness quotient automatically starts becoming better. It's also associated with the general feeling of being cheerful and enthusiastic. Being aware of your feeling and your interaction with others would give you this edge. And then actually happiness is the indicator of your overall degree of emotional intelligence and emotional functioning. So very clearly, in case if you are very happy, cheerful, relaxed, enjoying life, so you can automatically assume that your emotional intelligence is already in place and you are already enjoying it. And optimism, that is ability to look at the brighter side of the life, especially for example the period that we are going through, the situation that we all are going through, that is COVID-19. Everybody is actually apprehensive and anxious. Very few of you will still be able to look at the brighter side of the life. You will be able to maintain your positive attitude even in the face of this kind of adversity. So this is something that should tell you that, okay, I'm really able to, handle things in a more amicable manner. And it's actually a measure of hope in one's approach to life. Now, the question is, can EQ be increased? That's $1 million question. And yes, EQ can be increased. Our brain is hardwired to give emotions an upper hand. So if you start working on balancing between emotional brain and rational brain, automatically you'll be able to coordinate, bring better results. How can we do it? Practicing introspection on regular basis, identifying and labeling emotions that you are experiencing, practicing self-regulation, creating open environment to express where people can come up to you and give you feedback in an honest way, and taking that feedback with respect and regard, observing the impact of your action on others so that you can self-correct yourself, and then valuing relationship and people who are with you. This is how you can actually work on your EQ. Thank you so much. I wish to now quickly, in 2 minutes time, if we could discuss the questionnaire that I had given to all of you, and you have done your assessment, scoring and assessment. Can somebody share the scores that they have attained, or if they have a question to ask about it? By the way, did you understand the whole questionnaire? Those who actually have done the questionnaire, did you try to score? If you could answer me in chat box by yes or no. Could you score your questionnaire? Oh, great.
We have another question in the chat box.
Okay. Okay. So most of you have done it. So if you will look at the scores, if your scores are between 26 and 34 on all the four dimensions, that is emotional awareness, that is self-awareness, then emotional management, then social emotional awareness, and relationship management. If on all the four dimensions, if your scores are between 26 and 34, that means you're already in the right direction. So you have to continue, working in the same direction. In case if you find any of the dimension on which you have scored less than 26, so that is the area that you need to really work on and improve upon. And I think we have discussed a lot of strategies here. I hope that helps you. Otherwise, I would request Jasmine to pass on my number to all of you in case if you wish to discuss something through mail, through phone, you can get in touch with me and we can discuss it further. Any questions? I know we are just left with 2-3 minutes time, 3 minutes time, I believe. So any questions, if I could? You can ask me, otherwise you can write me in the chat box, whatever is comfortable.
I actually got a personal question.
Sure.
How to better deal with your anger and fury towards public officials?
Again, if you learn how to communicate in an assertive manner, see, we normally have 4 ways of handling a situation. One is passive. That means I just completely withdraw, assuming that my efforts are not going to bring any result. The second way is passive aggression, where we are unhappy inside, but since we feel that my saying is not going to help, we normally don't take a stand, but stay unhappy within ourselves. Third is we become aggressive. We start going and arguing and fighting with the person, which again is not going to bring in any results, especially when we are dealing with the public officials. The right way of communicating again would be assertion, where you actually design your communication in a manner which is supported with facts and figures, and then where to communicate, how to communicate, whom to communicate to bring change or bring impact. So that's how you have to handle that situation. I hope that helps you. Yeah. Any other question?
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Arnija. I think it was a wonderful lecture, a wonderful seminar, and I did get a lot of thank yous personally, and we're getting thank yous on the chat as well. For anyone who had a personal question or would like to follow up with that, I've sent her email ID on the chat box. I assume that she'll be happy to answer all of you. Lots of thanks coming in on the chat box. I hope you can see it.
Thank you.
For all of those who missed the questionnaire, I will try to send it out. If it's not possible, please connect with me. I would be happy to send out the questionnaire again for you to work on it. And thank you so much for joining us, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you so much, all of you. Thank you. God bless you all. Thank you.